welcome to another edition of Scone T. We are at Oliver Twist in Baton Rouge. Thank you so much for watching us live. If you're watching live, listening live, thank you for being there on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube or Facebook. If you are on demand, thank you as well. Smash that like button on YouTube, and if you're listening to us via podcast, rate us, leave a review on iTunes. A lot to get into, including the explosion of the college football world as we know it.
Yep.
Zion Williamson Day today, and this bottle of Still Austin Cask Strength, which is today's break-even bottle, $4 pours of Still Austin, and I could not be more excited about this. T-Bob, how are you? I don't really care.
But what about
letting you
this
feel
bottle of Shui Jing Feng, which is a Chinese liquor
You
called
should totally
Baiju
pour that.
that I've never heard of before. Of course I'm going to fucking pour this. You crazy? It's a liquor that I've never drank before, right? You have your whiskey, you have your vodka, your tequila, your mezcal, and your Baiju from Shui Jing Feng, who, you know, when you're talking about the Chinese, Matt, you are talking about the most ancient of civilizations, right? Like, they had cities when everybody else had hovels, and it looks like the Shui Jing Feng distillery has been distilling for over 600 years,
I bet
Matt.
you it's shitty.
We just celebrated 4th of July.
Beer was founded like in Iraq.
1976.
We're coming up on
Well,
250.
that's the cradle of civilization. So
right.
That makes sense.
So beer was founded in Iraq, and I bet Iraqi beer is really shitty. Doesn't mean I want to drink it. Just because you were first doesn't mean you're best. Right, Mobile, Mardi Gras, right?
First off, Mobile is the mother of Mardi Gras.
That's what I just
New
said.
Orleans
Just
is
because
the father
just
of Mardi
because you're
Gras.
first doesn't mean you're best.
Look at this, though, dude. It's like opening an Infinity Stone. You're gonna take this thing out.
Are you gonna fuck that up like you did the bottle of Yamato? By the way,
for what it's worth, they said this was a $600 bottle, so I don't think so. But look at how beautiful this packaging is. Oh my God!
everybody, raise your glass. It is Zion Day. Today is Zion Williamson's birthday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It is also so he's 22 today, and he's also now worth roughly $1/5 of $1 billion.
They said we need to crank up the audio. Is that right?
Crank up the audio.
It sounds good on my end.
Crank up the master.
If we need to crank it up, we will.
Well, the mics are up all the way.
All right. Maybe
crank up your volume if you're listening.
Yes. Shout out to Zion making how much is this new contract? Quarter of a bill.
So $193 million is the number, and with incentives it can get up around $230 million. So about $250 million is what he can get to with incentives that he hits. And I laughed whenever everyone made such a big deal about Zion. Whenever he, at the end of last season, met with reporters when he came back from Portland, it was like, I can't wait to sign my contract, And people were like, oh, look, he wants to. Of course he wants to sign a contract. It's a $200 million contract.
Yeah.
And in this NBA, it doesn't matter if you sign a contract with a team. All you have to do is act like a total bitch and then just want to force your way out in a year if you don't love it. So, of course he wants to sign that contract.
Yeah, probably the
I'm not saying he's a bitch, by the way. And I do think he'll stay in New Orleans.
Y'all keep giving it. Let us know if the sound is good, because I'm still seeing a lot of can't hear us for some reason, but the levels look like they're popping on our end. So let us know if that is the case. Okay, as far as Zion goes, of course he would want to resign. Why wouldn't he, right? Somebody's going to give him a rookie Supermax extension, and he's played in, 50-something games?
I think he's played right at 80. He's played just at what would amount to a full season in 3 years.
But, I mean, look, the case study that you have to keep looking forward to, if you're trying to figure this thing out, and look, we got Moose working on it right now. I know. Look, there's no excuse for these technical difficulties, y'all. I don't know what the deal is. We'll have to get it figured out eventually. I don't even know. I mean, should we keep talking? I guess we're recording still, right? So should we keep talking for the pod? I assume.
Can they hear us at all?
They said it's lawyer. Okay, they're saying it's very low. Okay, so I'll keep talking then. Okay, let's get in. Here we go. Okay, I need to drink a Baiju. Let's reset here. Baiju. What are you drinking? The Still Austin?
This is the Still Austin.
All right, here we go. Never tried this liquor before. Whoa, that's a fucking smell. Oh, good God.
What do you think?
good. It's so good. That's not at all one of the weirdest flavors I've ever had in my entire life.
Dude, we're sitting outside, and Matt goes, "Hey, you want to fuck with T-Bob?" I'm like, "Does a bear shit in the woods?" He's like, "There's this Chinese whiskey or this Chinese liquor. It's one of the worst things I've ever had. You want to give it to him?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
That is such an odd flavor profile, dude. I mean, that I can only.
That was so priceless, dude. I'm just waiting for your reaction to that.
Dude,
You just like absolutely. Dude, you just like gushed all over the bottle.
I'm not.
The Chinese civilization and all this wax poetic bullshit.
Look, man.
I knew you were about to basically drink horse piss.
Look, they call it the Far East for a reason, right? It's a completely different
That
culture,
was so
right?
good.
I mean, you're talking about a culture that grew up like not on Christianity basis, like whatever. It's like you can go to Japan and you can get like used panties out of a vending machine, right? That's a little crazy to me.
So
This flavor profile is a little wild to me, but you know what? It's not going to stop us. We're going to keep drinking. We're going to see if we can acclimate, and we're going to see if we can get it better. Yeah, we're still getting a lot of low volume, no volume reading lips, but we'll continue. Happy Zion Williamson Day. The thing, if you want to make yourself feel better, is look at Joel Embiid, right? Joel Embiid, his first 3 years before his Supermax, barely played at all. They held him out of abundance of caution for health reasons. They allowed his body to mature, get ready. You're down doing the exact same thing with Zion Williamson. Like Joel Embiid, when he has played, he has shown that he can maybe be a bit transcendent. And so I would say that it is it's worth it, whatever. We've talked about it at length. The Pelicans had to make this deal just out of franchise forces. Like, okay, if you're putting this decision on a scale and you're trying to balance things out, if you trade him and he does well, that is a nightmare scenario that far outweighs any other scenario. If you trade him or you get rid of him and he turns out to be a generational player, then you look like complete and utter fools that wasted a golden opportunity. Now, I do get it right. Maybe you trade him and he fails and you end up looking like geniuses, but even that success does not outweigh the risk of failure. So, yes, Zion always had to either be make it or break it in New Orleans, and you're now one step closer to him making it. Brew Daddy, okay, we're good. Whatever just happened, we're good to go.
Yeah.
What did you do?
The program out was all the way down. So I turned the program out volume up.
Hey, all that time on the board, dude, coming through, huh? How about that? Back in the day, right? Back to your roots.
I'm going to tell you something straight up. In the history of radio producers, there's never been a better one than me. Ever.
I mean, I believe that you believe that.
Because I'm the only one that does that job that absolutely gave a fuck like my life depended on it.
Your life does depend on it, because I was about to fuck you up if you didn't figure it out, so good shit,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm not the producer of the show.
Hey, okay, so whatever. We were just talking about Zion and how it's okay and how you had to commit to him if you're New Orleans. Of course Zion wanted to sign. And even if there was doubt in Zion's mind, last year erased it. The Pelicans did something.
The program out. Nah. Jesus Christ. It's the master volume. Jesus Christ. It's like staring at everything. He's over on the console. Oh, man.
Hey, sometimes it's like licorice and socks.
So
sometimes the most obvious thing.
I think everybody that's watching now, like the on-demand crowd, God bless you, probably going to miss all this, but T-Bob is drinking that
Chinese liquor.
Chinese liquor.
Baiju.
I'll retell the story very quickly for those that didn't hear it before. We're sitting outside because T-Bob always strolls up here about 3 minutes before we start. I'm sitting out with Matt, one of the owners, and he's like, "You want to fuck with T-Bob?" I'm like, "Does a bear shit in the woods?" Of course. And so he's like, "I'm going to give him this bottle of Chinese liquor, which is one of the worst things I've ever had in my life." And so T-Bob is like, "The bottle is so beautiful.
It was a cool-ass bottle,
Look
dude.
at the little turn thing.
It was a cool-ass bottle.
The cradle of civilization. The Chinese in history."
The fucking distillery said they've been doing it for 600 years.
Bro, I was just waiting for the first sip to watch your face turn upside down.
But it's rare that you can try something completely new, both in terms of what it actually is. I've never had Baiju liquor, but then also in terms of a flavor that I've never had. And, like, you know how culturally you can grow up to love flavors that others hate, right? Like, isn't it the Philippines? What do they eat? Durant? Is that what it's called? That fruit that smells just absolutely fucking awful.
In the
And,
Philippines?
I believe so. And like everybody hates it. They love it. I'm not used to this. I'm going to see, though, second sip, not as bad. Now that I knew to expect socks and licorice. Third sip might even start to be good. We'll see where it ends up going.
John Boudreaux, my speaker on 90 was about to blow. Like everybody had their volume all the way up, and I instantly cranked.
Yeah, that's true. My bad, boys.
I was the one that turned it all the way up.
Durian, yeah, that's that disgusting fruit.
So it's interesting because oddly, when our son Drew spent all those months in the hospital in Texas, his nighttime nurse was a Filipino woman.
Okay.
And they call themselves the Filipino Mafia. It was all these nighttime nurses, all these Filipino women. They're wonderful. Like, they still come in town for Drew's birthday every year. Like, they're family. I love these people. You don't even understand. Like, his primary nurse, we call her Mimi Lolita. Like, she's like his grandma. Anyway,
does she eat durian?
Well, my point, what I was going to say is I've eaten a shitload of Filipino food because she would always cook and bring food. I've never had, but that I've never had.
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for all Filipinos. Like, all Filipinos like it. I don't know. Maybe it's controversial within Filipino culture. I just know that it is traditionally consumed in the Philippines. And while it's supposed to have a pretty sweet taste, it is supposed to have one of the most abhorrent smells of anything ever. Which, when I smelled this, I was kind of like, oh, okay, what are we in for here? Well, I mean, sniff it.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's awful.
That is like licorice and socks, is it not? It's got like a distinct foot odor taste to it. Hell yeah,
it's just terrible. And the Still Austin, by the way, 118 proof. A lot of like brown, like coffee, dark chocolate notes to it. I love. Okay. I'll tell you.
The third sip went the opposite direction. Third sip went bad.
Still Austin. The Still Austin straight bourbon, I think, is fantastic. One of the best pours I found last year. This, I'm not so high on, honestly. Hate to say that.
Wiggins was saying he loves Still Austin. That it's not like an extra special bottle, but it's one that he finds to be very solid. It's got a pretty cool story.
Female
distiller.
No doubt. But there's two primary offerings. They have their straight bourbon whiskey, which is like a white label, and then this is the cash strength, which is a higher proof. The straight bourbon whiskey is fantastic. One of the best pours I found last year, so I was excited to try this. I don't love it. I'll tell you honestly about it. Someone else, this may absolutely be your speed. It's not for me.
I'm going to finish this.
Don't finish it.
I'm finishing it.
Don't finish
I'm cleansing the palate, though. That third sip did not go good. It literally caused me to gag. But I'm going to cleanse the palate because Wiggins continues to fuck with me. This is called Unicorn Farts, and it's a sour with glitter.
Is that really the name of the beer?
Yes, Unicorn Farts. Yeah.
What's the brewery?
No idea.
Okay.
Last thing on alcohol. You want to get it?
So real quick on Zion, because I know you're making the Embiid comp. That's great comp. I hope it works out. Hope he stays healthy and becomes the unicorn that I think we all think he can be.
Yeah, we hope he's a unicorn, not a unicorn fart.
Yes. What he has shown he can be in the 83 career games that he's played. We just, have a smaller sample size because he's only played in 85 career games.
Yeah.
He's played in 85 career games.
3 years.
And when he's been on the floor, he's been incredible. He's been transcendent. But can he stay healthy and have a long career? I hope so. And if he is, that's great.
You got to remember,
what's your stance on Durant?
Okay. So my stance, and I want to be clear, I'm going to preface this, is I am the layman, okay? I am not like – I think that real hoopers would call me a fucking idiot for this stance, and that is fine, and I accept that. But I don't want to upset the positive momentum that the Pelicans have right now. And when I look at the completely toxic-free environment that the New Orleans Pelicans currently are, and then I look at the toxicity that has stayed in the wake of Kevin Durant, even blowing up a Warriors team that was as unstoppable as any dynasty that we've ever seen in the NBA for a short stretch there, even being so unlikable that he was forced out of there despite the fact they were winning everything. The Nets is a complete fucking clown show at this point. And you want to say, oh, it's not Kevin Tall, it's Kyrie. So, like, whatever. He has a hand in it. I know he's a top 5 basketball player. I know you become a better basketball team. I don't care. I would rather keep the young core, even if it is not as good, grow with this young core, allow Willie Green to develop the personalities that are fully in line with him. I mean, just the other day you had Brandon Ingram commenting on Jose Alvarado's Instagram post saying nobody believed in us. The Pelicans did. You had Josh Hart and Ncaa Alexander-Walker showing up on the sideline the day they were traded.
So
Josh Hart was at the playoff game that I was at.
That was
Josh
cool.
Hart was courtside.
That was really cool. But the no one believed in us thing, like, that's a little for Alvarado for sure. For BI,
no, but you can see how he
that's a
arrived
little
there, though.
bullshit.
You can see how he arrived there, though. Like LA cast him aside. They thought that he sucked, and he
They didn't
was
think he
hearing
sucked. They were doing a deal.
No, they wanted
They were doing
AD.
a deal for Anthony Davis.
No, but you gotta remember.
And the same thing that's being proposed right now is if you are going to get something of value, you have to give something of value. I can't believe you're still drinking that
But
shit.
you gotta-
Why
you gotta-
are you drinking
Because I poured it, so I'm gonna finish it.
Stop drinking it.
It's like paint thinner.
Stop it.
But like, it tastes worse. Like if it was just golden grain, like or Everclear, like grain alcohol, it'd actually be better. No, but with BI, yes, he got good at the very end of his time with the Lakers. Remember, like he had a flash, and they were like, "Oh shit!" Like Brandon Ingram might be good. But before that, he had to hear how many years was he there? 2, 3. He had to hear like 2.5 years of Lakers fan calling him a bust, telling him he sucks. Lakers
He was the
are
second
bad.
pick of the draft.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I'm saying you can understand then why he would feel like nobody, like everybody counted him out. And I get that on context, it's not even close to Jose Alvarado's story, but the Pelicans did tell him, look, we believe you're a perennial all-star, and you make this Anthony Davis trade worth it. And that belief is a powerful thing after you're, 19 years old, and you're living in fucking Los Angeles, and you have that city who really gives a fuck about the Lakers. All millions upon millions of people, and they're constantly in your mentions, constantly telling you suck. Like, yeah, I could see how he would feel very warmly towards New Orleans. So, no, I get you're a better team with KD, but he is also 33. Brandon Ingram's 24. I would stick with this young Pelicans core. There's just, again, I keep going back to toxicity. There's such a good locker room at this point, almost unparalleled in the NBA. And you're going to listen to guys.
Okay.
No, Antonio Daniels biased, but he'll talk about it. But no, so I wouldn't do the deal.
Okay. Well, I get your point. I am on the other side, and not to be contrarian, but I think either way I'm going to be very happy. If they keep the young core together and we get to watch these young guys grow, which I think is going to happen, by the way, as well. I was just looking up a tweet from David Griffin's press conference today where he said, we're young, we're talented, we're hungry. That doesn't sound like a GM that's ready to trade away part of his core. And even if they pursued it, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, and you got to remember, Mario pointed this out on our show, but Griffin had an awful experience in the win now LeBron experience. But after they won the finals, he said he literally went and cried in the bathroom.
But he won a championship.
Out of sadness.
Okay. But he won a championship. So, and that's not the job he took because when he took the job, he didn't think LeBron was coming to Cleveland. That was the same with David Blatt was not taking the Cleveland job to be a LeBron-led team. I mean, it was a different job he took than what it ended up being. I get all that, but I don't want to win games. I want to win championships. And Kevin Durant gives you a better chance to win a championship than to just be better in a very tough West.
But you're still not winning a championship though. Is the problem, even with KD.
I think you can.
You're not beating the Warriors, even with KD. Especially not. I mean, if you're giving up BI, you're not beating the Warriors.
So you're
not beating the Warriors anyway right now. So why not stay young, continue to build up, let them get older, and then be ready to supplant them in a few years?
So I don't know that the Warriors are that invincible. I mean, the Suns were by far the best team in the West. Nobody was talking about Golden State
until the playoffs.
Going into the playoffs, even going into the playoffs. Nobody was.
But once the playoffs started, everybody was like, "Oh shit!" Actually, Golden State's the favorite
because here they came, right? And then of course, Phoenix loses, whatever. But I guess my point is, for 82 games, we weren't talking about Golden State as being this unstoppable force again. This was the team that had the worst record in the league 2 years ago. So I mean, but
all that did was help them because then they got young talent. They got Andrew Wiggins and wants to rejuvenate his career, and now they got Clay and they got full level step back.
But you also looked at the finals. Draymond Green is very near the end of his ability to be elite.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to see glimpses of Draymond, but it's just not going to be a consistent.
So that's
and
kind
the same with Clay after the injuries as well.
So that's kind of my point, though.
But
wait them out.
But it wouldn't even surprise me this year if Golden State wasn't in contention. I'm not saying they won't be a playoff team, but it felt like Golden State winning this year kind of felt like Tiger Woods winning the Masters at 40 years old. Like that's what it felt.
I think they were a little too dominant for that, but, I guess time will tell in that regard. I would say this.
Anyway, I don't think they're going to.
Maybe I've watched too much Pelicans basketball, and I've gotten too excited about big moves that have not really panned out at all. Like, I could not sleep the day. No, I know none of them have been as good as KD. But I still don't. I just don't. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic. I still don't feel that KD makes you capable of winning a championship.
Ooh.
I like the team building that Griff and this franchise have going on right now. Again, I love the locker room. I just feel like it would be if we always talk about trusting the process, I know there are guys you potentially blow a process up for, but the context of KD's age, recent injury history, and the toxicity that seems to follow in his wake and just the overall anger, I would not do the move. If they did do the move, of course I get hyped and I cheer for it, but it would be a bummer. And like almost like the Zion deal, if you get KD and it doesn't work, we'll always fucking be wondering what could have been. What if? What if you had stuck with that potential and promise? And I would rather let that what if scenario play out than go chase an aging KD.
And what if you keep this core and you never sniff a title?
That's fine too, man.
You'll always look back and say, what if they had done the KD?
I'm not. No, see, I won't, though. That's what I'm saying. I won't because I'm not sure that the KD's a better path to a championship in my mind. So I personally won't.
How is getting a top 5 player in the NBA on your team a league in which we've seen if you don't have multiple superstars, including
because you won't have multiple superstars,
but you will.
Who?
I mean, C.J. McCollum is still an all-star caliber player.
You don't think he'd be in a KD deal?
And you're betting no. Everything that I've seen has been B.I., Herb, maybe Trey Murphy or Larry Nance, and then picks.
I mean, bro, you're giving up somebody who has a rookie, should have been on the all-defense team.
You're giving up someone who people are
all-star.
You're giving up someone who people are very excited about,
and
Herb Jones, but like. Or can you not find a good defensive player?
Fuck, not like Herb Jones, dude. You can't act like he wasn't transcendent.
I'm not acting like he wasn't a great defensive player.
He blew other GMs and coaches' minds. Teams were talking about Herb Jones.
You do not have, there is no Kevin Durant on this roster.
I get it.
He's fucking Kevin Durant, man.
I get it.
Why is this hard?
Because if you trade all that away, sure, you have KD, but you're still not going to do it. You're still not going to do it. Look. Maybe good. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just in my mind, and again, it's like you said, it's probably not even the right basketball argument, but in my mind, the bigger what if to me would be what if we stuck with this positive momentum and just see where it goes and what will happen. So that's what I would do.
I mean, it's so funny though about BI, that everyone is so latched on to BI now. When midway through the season, nobody was saying Brandon Ingram is this or on his path to being a transcendent type player. I mean,
yes, but don't you allow for
sure.
what somebody actually does?
Sure,
when he was healthy and playing, the Pelicans had a sterling record, and he played like an all-star when it mattered.
A very good player, but not a top 5 player in the NBA.
No,
could he become that? Maybe.
He's 24.
Maybe not.
And I get that KD at his age is ahead of his splits.
At 24, KD was already there.
That's fine, but the package of those picks, BI. And Herb feels you could make the argument that is greater than KD. That's why they would make that trade in the first place if you're the Nets.
I don't give a shit about the picks because you're going to win and the picks are going to be late ones anyway. And I don't. It's why you did the Anthony Davis deal to acquire assets to be able to build a championship roster.
Yeah.
Right? I mean that's why you did the deal. So the picks I could give a shit about. It's the opportunity to get a transcendent superstar player.
So well, seemingly as of late, though.
And so then you can keep doing it with second-round picks and build and whatever all that stuff. Okay, so by the way, this is an interesting conversation. It's very polarizing. Everyone has a stance on it. I think we both agree, though, it's not going to happen. And if they keep building, I'm not saying fuck this young core, they're never going to win with it. I think it's going to be really exciting. But I think you go from a team that was in the play-in, and I get it, tons of injuries and all, and a formidably different roster, adding C.J. McCollum, and you have Zion, and I get it. But I think you're in that clump of teams somewhere in the 3 to 6 range. I think Utah.
See, I hope so, but that's my deal is I'm not even sure. I need the Pelicans to prove it to me. I'm very excited. But I've had too much preseason excitement go awry in my Pelicans life. Where I have been so anxious for the season to start, and then I watch them start 1-9 or 1-11, and it breaks me.
But I think the big difference is the start a year ago, you didn't have C.J. McCollum. If you look at the sample of what the team was when you had this group,
no, I
with
understand
C.J.
all
and Herb
that.
and Jose and all that, and then you're adding Zion to it, it is fair to say, okay, take this 30-game sample and extrapolate that over 82 games, and this is what your record's going to look like. And I think you're probably somewhere around a 50 to 55 win team.
I think you're right. I'm saying, and I'm not saying mine is a rational fear. I'm almost like someone suffering from PTSD. I don't give a fuck about championships. I want 3 playoff years in a row. Give me 3 fucking playoff years in a row, and that will represent a championship in my Pelicans fanhood.
Okay.
Then we can get discontent. Then we can get upset with success. Then we can start chasing championships. We're getting a little fucking greedy if we're trying to jump straight to the top. Look at the Suns. Look at the process that they followed to get to this point.
And they fucking lost in the conference finals and don't have a championship.
That's all well and good, but they're working their way towards it.
And Tampa Bay says, fuck the future, let's win a championship now. They go get Tom Brady, they win in 1 year. The Miami Heat, when they
KD ain't Tom Brady.
I get it, when they traded
KD ain't Tom Brady. Tom Brady cannot be used in any comparative sense because he's incomparable.
43-year-old Tom Brady, yes.
He just led the league in fucking yards and touchdowns at 44. How are you going to compare anybody to that man? KD ain't going to lead the league in scoring at 44.
I'm not saying Kevin Durant is the greatest player in the history of the game.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady today is not what Tom Brady was. The rules of the NFL are different. Obviously, we understand you're playing 18 games as well. He can sit back and sling it. Fine. Tom Brady's great. I'm not arguing that at all. Okay, like he's the greatest ever. There is no argument.
Tom Brady's like adding LeBron James in his prime. You go to championships automatically.
Okay. LeBron. Don't get me started on LeBron.
Well, he's old now.
What about and I've also like the Shaq trade. When the Lakers chose Kobe, they sent Shaq to Miami. Miami gave up young talent, young Lamar Odom and players like that, and they won a championship in very short form. And then Shaq got old and was done. They paired with Dwayne Wade. They won, and then they sucked ass. And then LeBron came, and they won again.
I almost just have trouble with that because Pat Riley has proven to be such a winner, no matter where he's at the NBA, that he's almost got that Brady effect of like, sure, in theory you want to follow the Riley blueprint, but we all know about heat culture. He just seems to have a little kind of a special sauce, and everybody else has. Hey, the Bijou is growing on me.
Oh,
the Bijou is growing on me, bros. It's not that bad.
If you're watching on YouTube live, thank you so much. Please smash that like button and also subscribe up to the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
And Indie Group's talking shit about the quality of our commentaries, low quality. I prefaced
Can I finish?
saying I am a layman and that what I am representing is a portion of the fan base that, like me, likes to watch the games, drink beer, cheer on their team, and just fucking wants to watch a game like a team.
No, I think he's shitting on me.
Where more often than not they can win. No, I think he's shitting on both.
No,
of us.
He said all caps. Ingram wants to be here. Always complain. Players hate it here. Now he's a scrub. No. I didn't say he's a scrub. So don't fucking come up with your own goddamn narrative and stop being a little bitch, okay? If you don't like the conversation, just fucking leave. The point is that Brandon Ingram, at 24 years old right now, is a very good player and is bordering on becoming an elite player. But if you're trying to argue that he's in any rarefied air that includes Kevin Durant in any type of
and I'm not saying that.
He's not. No, I know you're not, but he's not. I am very excited about the young core. I'm excited about Brandon Ingram. I'm excited about Herb Jones. I'm excited about Trey Murphy. I love adding C.J. McCollum. I think if you get a healthy Zion, I like the Joel Embiid comparison. You're talking about a potential future MVP, all that good stuff. I love what they can be. But I'm just saying my point is not I want to win games. I want to win championships. And if you have a chance to add a player that is a top 5 player in a league, which is driven by superstar talents, like Giannis in Milwaukee, you win a championship. Kawhi was the missing piece in Toronto. You win a championship. LeBron and AD together in L.A. I get it that it was like summer camp, but they won a championship. Like, you got to have that. And the Pels don't have
maybe I can get there. Maybe he can get there.
Could get there. Sure.
Yeah.
And
or Zion.
I'm with you. Both of them. Yeah. Both of them could get there. Could. Durant is there.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Okay, here's the last question. And we've already spent too much time on this. Last question. The idea of wanting to be here, how much does that factor in? Because to me, I'll never forget the Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman jail picture, where they're in front of the bricks
at the Hilario
Center, and they're like, God, what has happened to us? We've been cast in NBA hell.
I mean, even though they were with the Clippers,
which was already the worst, they went to the absolute worst.
They were still in L.A.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so like
you were in LA.
And I get it. Like those Pelicans, the franchise is not this franchise in the slightest. And so you could say, oh well, KD wouldn't react the same way. But I'm a little hesitant. If somebody doesn't want to be here, I don't want him here because well, we've seen it go right past. All right, that's enough of that. Okay,
we
got LSU recruiting.
No, hold on.
We got college football. We got a lot to
because
get
I
to.
was starting and then you completely interrupted me.
Oh, my bad.
So if you're watching on YouTube, please smash the like button or on live or on demand, and please subscribe up to the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. That's where all of our live content goes. That's all of our daily shows. That's Whiskey and Wine. That's us here on Scone T. And big shout out also to Oliver Twist, who hosts us every Wednesday. And a lot of people may not know they're open for lunch. So it's a great lunch spot here, right off of Perkins near Essen. I mean, right across from the Baton Rouge Clinic. So it's a great spot. Y'all come hang out here. Great spot to get a whiskey, a draft beer. What is that, unicorn piss or whatever you're drinking?
Unicorn farts.
That too. And
they have
great
Ghost
food
in the
menu.
Machine on draft.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Which I like.
They always have you can see behind my right shoulder. That's the rotating craft draft beer menu. So they've always got great stuff.
You always talk about how they have the best whiskey selection probably in all of town. And then also Rock Paper Taco opened up. So you can go check out some Rock Paper Taco as well if you're a little hungry for some tacos. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else? No, that's it. Break Even Bottle on Wednesdays as well, where you can drink really good whiskey for prices that they do not make, that they don't make any profit on. They just want you to be able to try really good whiskey. Also, Wednesday's been kind of popping off here, so come hang out. You can bring friends, come have a good time.
So, all right, let's talk about college football being destroyed by all the people who want to ruin it, right?
Not destroyed. Yes, fundamentally shifted, sure. I've already accepted the shift, and so.
Can I give you a little teaser?
I would love a teaser. Give me a teaser.
I think all of what's happening right now is going to make college football better.
Yeah, probably long term. I could see that. I mean, what do you mean by better, though? Do you mean like just in terms of the pure quality of the football?
Every fucking thing about college football will be better because of this. We have lived through – listen, we love college football, all of us, right? We are in the Deep South. This is the only region of the country where the NFL is not the number one sport consumed. It's college football.
Yeah.
Look at a map. The rest of the country, it's NFL. This little nugget here in the country, it's college football. We all love college football. That doesn't even need to be explained how much we all love college football. The reality is college football for its entire existence has been completely fucked. The way that college football has crowned championships is fucked. The way that the regular season runs is fucked. The way that every league has different rules about schedules and league size and amount of league games and all that shit. It's so totally fucked. It is. We benefit because we love LSU, right? And we're in the SEC, and there's all kind of resources. And because we're at the upper echelon of the sport, we get to see it at its highest level, and that's great. But even still, the way that college football is structured is strictly as a revenue generator. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But in turn, what has happened is we have seen schedules now that include at least 3 games that nobody gives a good goddamn about watching.
Yeah, man.
Nobody, not a soul on earth wants to watch LSU football against Southern this year.
No.
Not a soul. There's not a soul that wants to watch LSU against UAB. There's not a soul that wants to watch LSU against New Mexico. God bless Eddie Nunez, who's a friend, who was an associate AD at LSU, worked in athletic administration.
Southern halftime show maybe
for 14 years. He goes to New Mexico. He's the AD there now. This is a favor and one he'll probably regret. He's going to get a really nice paycheck, but that game is going to be horseshit. And you got a 102,000-seat stadium that you can never fill because you have a bunch of games that nobody fucking wants to see. You know what's going to happen as a result of this? All of those fucking games, they're going away. You're going to get schedules like back in 1986 when LSU played its non-conference schedule, 88 against Ohio State and Miami and Texas A&M when that was the non-conference schedule. That's what you're going to see again. You're going to see a schedule full of games that everybody gives a fuck about seeing. And that's a good thing. That's going to make for a better TV product. That's going to make for better attendance. That's going to make for better everything with college football. And the other thing that's going to happen is you're finally going to get a postseason. You're finally going to get an actual playoff in college football where you have teams that get to go play it out on the field because there's going to be so much money involved. You're going to be able to contract all the bullshit teams that nobody cares about, like Kansas and Duke and all that bullshit. They'll be done. They'll be gone and go play in their lower league and do whatever the fuck they want by themselves. And the upper echelon of college football is going to play a 10, 11, 12-game regular season against each other and then an actual playoff that people are going to want to see. And that is going to be good for everybody. It's going to be good for TV. It's going to be good for revenue. It's going to be good for the universities, the athletic administrators. It's going to be excellent for the fans because we're no longer going to have to watch November the 21st with LSU playing fucking UAB sandwiched between road games against Arkansas and Texas A&M, where you're biting your fingernails wondering, is LSU actually going to give a shit about this game?
Yeah, look, I think
that's why this is going to be good for college football.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, right? I mean, I think it's like I said. I think in terms of quality, it goes way up. I think you maybe lose a bit of some of the unique aspects of college football. Like, one of the nice parts about those games, they're great family games. You know, it was easier to get in and out of the stadium. You could bring your kids. You could leave early if you wanted to.
Are you serious?
No, bro, I'm not. Look, I'm not saying that this is reasons for keeping the status quo, but I'm saying these are elements that people enjoy that will be lost.
No.
Yeah. If we get to a point where Kansas no longer plays Texas, we don't get to watch a fucking like 0-8 Kansas team beat Texas on a 2-point conversion and like laugh our ass off. Like
there will still be teams that are 0-8 or 1-7, and like that's still like it happens in the NFL. T, you've got teams that win 0, 1, 2, 3 games in the NFL. And they're still going to somehow pull an upset.
Yeah, every NFL game is close, though. And you'll get more like the NFL, and every game will be close, and it'll be a better product for sure. But there will be there'll be like you're losing a bit of the attractive regional aspect of it where it's each region. I know, bro. I'm not saying this is bad for the quality of the football. The quality of the football will only get better with more money infused in it, people being paid, all of these things. The quality of the football will continue to improve. But you will lose a bit of the blue-collar charm.
See,
no doubt about that.
Dustin Blanchard says going to be some really good teams with 3 losses, though. But
yeah, that's great, though. We should be more accepting of that.
This is where you need to purge your mind of the bullshit mentality that we've all had, where if you lose a game, you're fucking done. This narrative that has been shoved down people's throats that these lemmings have believed forever, that, like, it's the most important regular season. It's bullshit. College football has the most meaningless regular season in all of sport because it is the only sport where you can win every game you play and not even get a chance to play for a championship.
Yeah.
You can manipulate your schedule with 3 bullshit games that you have no shot of losing, just to make it easier on yourself. It's like some leagues play 9 conference games, some play 8. I love college football. I objectively, in a vacuum, love to sit there for 3.5 hours and watch 2 really good teams play and the fight songs and the pageantry and all the shit that we all love, yes. But, the sport as a whole has been broken throughout its entire existence. And the powers that be have gotten rich feasting on our love and loyalty. That's what's happened. But we're going to get a better product for college football as a result of all of this. All of this is happening as a pushback and a result of decades of mismanagement of college football. That's why it's all happening right now, instead of doing it right 50 years ago, 70 years ago when you had a chance to do it right. They just never did.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel you, man. I do think you're going to lose some of the charm, but that charm doesn't outweigh the quality.
Half the Spanish Armada will no longer have Cinderella teams, will no longer have App State, Michigan. Who gives a shit? The reason that happens is because Michigan's playing this. Michigan's 40 points better than App State. They just didn't give a fuck about the game. That's not interesting. You don't have the NCAA tournament because of the 15 beating the 2. That doesn't draw. That's not what generates revenue or ratings or anything. What's better than App State Michigan? What's better than App State Michigan is 2006 number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Michigan, undefeated, playing each other. That's what people give a shit about seeing. Motherfucker, you didn't watch this guy talking about that? I guarantee you didn't even watch that game. You want to know why? I remember it was 2007, the season opener. That was when they debuted the Big Ten Network, and nobody had distribution on the Big Ten Network, so nobody saw that fucking game.
But we all saw the highlight, dude.
Everybody has seen the blocked kick at the end. Everybody has seen the block kick at the end, and that's the only fucking thing that you saw because nobody watched that football game. So don't tell me about this Cinderella bullshit because you didn't even fucking watch it.
Man, look. The
Bro,
only
don't fuck with me on this topic.
The only thing that turns me off about this is I do wish that it was a little less cloak and dagger a small group of people meeting behind closed doors and making grand sweeping decisions for everybody. Like, I almost wish that the NCAA had someone more forward thinking in place, and maybe you could
Okay. Well, like this, all right, this is where you have this is a fallacy. The NCAA does not govern college football's schedule or postseason. Never has. It's the only sport that the NCAA does not govern. Like, you know how at the end of the College World Series or the NCAA tournament, you get the fucking brown wooden tall trophy? There is no one for college football because the NCAA does not crown a football champion. In its entire history, college football has outsourced its championship because they've always been married to the fucking bowls because they've always had hands in everybody's pocket. That's the point. Like, the corrupt bullshit of the nature of the sport for its entirety has led us to this point because we've never had structure and a system leading toward a postseason that was equitable, which is why we are where we are. And it's going to get fixed. And the NCAA isn't the answer. The collective schools will come together and outsource their championship to the college football player for whatever it is, but it's not going to be 4 teams. It's going to be 16 teams or whatever the number is going to be. But you're going to shrink the whole of college football from 131 to 60 or 50, whatever it is, and you're going to play a 16-game
Well, where does the
postseason.
shrinking stop? It'll keep continuing, right? Like,
No,
like
I mean,
in
you're
theory,
going to pick.
that's my
you're
thing,
going to pick
though.
the schools that actually have
This
value.
is a completely unregulated market. Yeah, but where does it end? Like, eventually, X team that has value now in the new era will be viewed as not having value.
Well,
when
if
you
you've
cut
had-
them, when
if-
you where
if
does
you've
it
had-
end?
if you have built a brand in a market that has sellable value, like even look at the Arizona schools. All right, one of the estimates is that the 4 Pac-12 schools that are being courted by the Big 12 right now, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, their average annual value is equal to the 12 remaining schools in the Big 12. Like, after you've added the new 4 little brothers, Cincinnati and UCF and all the bullshit schools nobody cares about. Like, think about that. Those 4, because you've got Utah, which has Salt Lake City in it, and you get the whole population of the state of Utah. You get the 2 Arizona schools. So you get Phoenix, which is a top 10 market in the country. You get Colorado, which is 30 minutes from Denver. So you get the Denver market in the whole state of Colorado and the 2 Arizona schools. So, like, those 4 schools have as much value as the 12 remaining schools in the Big 12. Kansas State, fucking Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF. I mean, like, bro, like, it's black and white.
I mean, that's the most fascinating part about this. I do want to talk about the incredible storyline of the Big 12 being declared dead last year, reaching out for hope, basically being shunned and offered lip service. The Pac-12 forms the alliance.
Oh, bro.
They get fucking stabbed in the back, get their kidneys ripped out, and now the Pac-12's bleeding on the ground, and the Big 12's like, ha, 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 bitch. Tables have turned. And, like, the Big 12 could potentially lop the head off of the Pac-12. It's Machiavellian. It is, like, wonderful fantasy political intrigue. It is Game of Thrones type shit. This is the last thing I'll say, though, Matt. Why can't these? I mean, should these changes be football only? Because a lot of your argument is tied into the fundamental, what you view as the fundamental broken framework of college football. And so that's where I get to, like, when you have an unchecked market, you can't always trust it to make the best decisions for its people. It's going to make the decisions that make the most money. Now, we've learned in a capitalistic society, a lot of times, those decisions are very good for people, but sometimes they're not. And so, I don't know, USC having to go play baseball like fucking Illinois in the spring or something doesn't feel like that's good for those student athletes.
Don't care. Like, they'll figure that out. Baseball loses money everywhere anyway. But they are going to make.
Bro, I mean, nobody's saying that money is not driving all of this. Money is driving all of this.
So my point is, like, if you're just talking about the competitive nature of a 19-year-old having to get on a plane to go play baseball in Champaign, Illinois, instead of going to Cal Poly, I don't care. Like, whatever. I mean, right now, does anyone bitch that Louisiana Tech and Hawaii are in the same fucking conference?
No.
Okay, so I don't give a fuck.
Look,
but last thing, remember this, all right? The NCAA, the premise upon which it was founded was to organize championships. The problem the NCAA has had is that college football and college basketball, the two biggest sports, have gotten so big and so profitable that it has outgrown the jurisdiction of the NCAA. The NCAA does not have the resources to monitor every school. That's why it requires you to self-report shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, it literally does not have the ability to enforce all of its rules for 131 FBS and 300.
It's why all the NIL threats they were trying to throw out there, like, what? Like,
as an organization built to organize championships, is the men's basketball tournament good?
Yeah.
Is the women's basketball tournament good?
Mm-hmm.
Is the College World Series good?
Mm-hmm.
Is the Women's College World Series good?
Yeah, but
Track and field. Like, the point is, the NCAA organizing championships for every other sport, cool, keep it. Like, it's all good how it's organized. Like, it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It generates revenue. They're successful. It's a good postseason structure that gives college athletes something to compete for and strive for, and all that's great. It's just been royally fucked in football since its inception. It's not the NCAA's fault. It's the school's fault and the conferences who married themselves to these bowls to guarantee themselves revenue. And they would never let go of that shit. And these relationships, these incestuous relationships became so deeply rooted over the course of a century that they've been impossible to root up even to the point now where we're still including the fucking bowls in the playoffs. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I guess I'm just getting old, dude. I mean, I'm just getting old because I do think I would have appreciated maybe a little more conversation about these things, about the direction they could go. But you know what? When you're talking about economics in the market, sometimes just a free market fucking approach, you just see where things end up. Sometimes it does work out for the best. I mean,
I just want a good product. That's what I want. I want a good product and a fair postseason. All of this realignment shit is going to lead us to that. It's going to get rid of the bullshit games that nobody wants to see, and it's going to give us an expanded playoff.
But you don't think there's anything towards you don't think there's anything towards the and again, I want to be clear about this. Look, I have it written in my notes right here.
Real quick before you do that thought, get your questions in because we've got like
I've been logging them.
We got like 13 minutes left, so fire away with your questions. The last 10 minutes we'll wrap up with your questions.
I will say this and I wrote this in my notes. So I don't want people to think like I want you to know exactly where my head's at. I said, for better or for worse, what's done is done. There's no going back. The market and these sort of decisions carry with them a massive inertia, and at this point, there's no stopping it. So, like, we can continue to debate and discuss how we got here, and it is fascinating, but there's no stopping it. Toothpaste out the tube. I've already made peace with it. And so, like, yeah, I'm prepared to enjoy what the college football future holds.
It's going to be awesome.
I am also fascinated to see, though, if it loses a little bit of its kind of quaint, quirky sort of charm. And I get that charm means nothing against the millions upon millions of dollars that you stand to make, but it is going to be fundamentally different. I mean, we've talked about the NIL, like, are we going to start covering college athletes differently? We've always approached them with kids' gloves. They are kids. But what happens when the kids start making more money than you? No one feels bad for anyone that makes more money than them. That is a basic human truth. And so as we approach the more professionalized college sports, which, again, I cheer for. I think players should be paid. But as we approach that, I am interested to see if it loses a little bit of what made it so unique, right? I mean, I know you were a huge Pac-12 After Dark fan.
Yeah, and I'll still watch.
Yeah.
There's still going to be teams playing games. No, it's not. There's still going to be teams on the West Coast playing in prime time on the West Coast.
Yeah, but eventually does it become like the USFL? Like, do you give a fuck about the USFL?
Regardless of what you call it. And as long as people bet, yes, people will watch.
Yeah, maybe
right,
so.
questions.
Yeah, look, whatever. And I've already made peace with it. There's no going back. The inertia's, the snowball is fucking rolling down the hill. I'm more interested now in who everybody tries to snatch up and where these teams end up going. Do you want to say anything on recruiting before we get into questions?
No, we did so much recruiting last week.
Did we? I forgot.
Like, we did so much on the Brian Kelly, the Louisiana, the Melt, all that stuff. Like, go back and listen to last week's episode.
Well, I would say, though, they did a good job of immediately combating that narrative.
Well, but they had all these guys that were going to commit. And the one narrative, though, was he couldn't get local kids, and they've still not done that. I mean, all the commits except for the 3-star out of Rumble and the 3-star from Jonesboro Hodge for 2024 are all outside of the state. So, you're still going to have to wait and see until the top 15 players in Louisiana make their destination known. And then we'll have a better handle on it for this year. But Look, I mean, put together a great class of really talented guys. I mean, I don't worry so much about that. I mean, I think we talked about it last week. More than anything, LSU's going to have to get its NIL game up to supplement.
Yeah.
All right, questions.
All right.
By the way, the Still Austin, as it's sat here and opened up over the last 30 minutes, has actually gotten much better. It's mellowed out pretty good.
I'm about to try some of this. What is this?
Oh, that's
Calumet 16?
Calumet 16, yeah. A 16-year-old, an 8. So
I love a 16-year-old, Matt. Fucking 5-star recruit, rippling abs, big fucking biceps. You seen that Mark Markway? Mac Markway? What's his name?
Mac Markway.
There we go. You seen that kid?
Yeah.
It's a hot teen boy.
Okay. Are you going to go to questions or what?
Boo Daddy 92.
Jesus Christ.
Ask Scone T. Will the SEC scoop up Oregon and Washington?
No.
No, that feels like Big Ten, right?
So it doesn't even matter about regional, the regional basis there.
You don't think it matters at all? Like, you don't think if, like, the Big Ten tried to come in and grab the Carolina, like Duke and UNC, that would be, like, kind of invading SEC territory?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
The Big Ten just went and got fucking teams out of Los Angeles.
That's invading a weak territory, though. That's not going into the stronghold that is the Southeast.
Number one, the ACC media rights deal that they signed last year is through 2036.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that shit's fucked.
None of the team – it was
the worst deal in all sports.
None of the teams in the ACC can get out because none of them can afford to buy out 14 years in advance. That's number one. So those teams are fucked.
Well, but Mike Ryan was talking – does it get interesting from on Levitard? Mike Ryan was talking about this earlier this week where it's like he's a big Miami guy, right? And so he's trying to kind of put out there that there's the idea that maybe Miami's talking to ESPN's like, look, you fucking own the SEC. You want us in the SEC. Like, we're not going to pay you for this other ESPN contract. Just let us in the SEC. Like, does that help that transition, all the fact that ESPN owns that ACC deal and that SEC deal?
None, because the SEC already has a footprint in the state of Florida. It's why LSU or SEC fans say, oh, go ahead, Clemson and Florida State. That sounds good, and geographically, competitively, it makes sense. Financially, it makes no sense at all. Those two schools do not increase the pie big enough to where everybody's slice gets bigger. So to the question
about
Oregon,
Duke and UNC?
No, the question UNC maybe, but the point about Oregon and Washington is after you've added Texas and Oklahoma, the SEC has grown its pie so big that the only brand that would be worth adding at this point is Notre Dame, and you're not getting Notre Dame. So I'm not saying they won't eventually get to a point where, if you have the Big Ten, SEC, whatever you want to call it and structure it, however. But as far as the SEC expanding, remember, it's financial. You've got to, if you add a school, they've got to grow the pie big enough to where everybody's share gets bigger. Otherwise, you're just everyone's taking a smaller slice of the pie. Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying, but is there not value in just more competitive matchups? And if you think Miami is going to be a competitive school, then it becomes a better TV product?
Fuck. How many times have we said this? It's all about money.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Why do you think they fucking added Missouri? Do you think Missouri made a better product?
Bro.
Missouri, don't say bro. Missouri added St. Louis and Kansas City. It added two major markets that you weren't in when you were expanding the SEC, when you were launching the SEC
network. They did go to
multiple
SEC championships.
And you went into when you were launching the SEC network, it added a bigger footprint that put you in more fucking cable systems.
No, but so at a certain point, though, your footprint gets large enough where you're really looking to increase the quality, right? Because like the NFL, the average person watches NFL games in markets that they don't live in, and they don't give a fuck about.
Well, that's the NFL.
So wouldn't you want to get there eventually? Yeah, but isn't that where this is all going?
Eventually, and that's why you're going to have one, as I've said, one college football. Not SEC, ACC, but with all their own fucking deals. You're going to have one college football of 50 teams or whatever it is that goes to the networks and says, like the NFL has done with NBC and CBS and ESPN and Amazon now, and they say, like, here's our rights. Who wants to bid on it, right? Like, that's what college football will do eventually. But it's not going to be individual conferences with their own fucking rights deals. It's going to be one college football. Now, when we get there, I don't know, but that's where we're headed.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's what I'm saying is that I think that
right,
you want Miami in that fold regardless of overlapping.
Not right now,
markets.
though. Not right now. Miami doesn't do anything for you
But
right
isn't everybody into consolidation and just asset grabbing right now? I don't know. We'll see.
Only if it grows the pie. That's the point. Like,
so.
It doesn't make any sense to add Miami.
All right, we'll see.
If your $55 million conference payout, you add Miami, and now your payout's $53 million. It doesn't make any sense to add them.
We'll see if they add him then. Craig Dugas says, ask us how many teams must die so LeBron can look fly. Kobe says, ask Scone T, do the Pelicans win a championship within 5 years? If not, how close do they get? You got me fucked up if you think I'm going to sit here and say the Pelicans will win a championship. I don't think they're ever going to win a championship. I hope that I'm wrong, but I've seen too much to believe they will. But I do think they'll be a perennial playoff team. Or at least, again, that is my absolute hope, and that would feel like a championship to me. So perennial playoff, you're at least in the dance. It's kind of close, but, yeah, I don't know. Maybe like the Hornets run with CP3 back in the day. You don't think they're winning a championship within 5, do you?
Michael Jordan won his first title in year 8. Is that right?
Oh, how about that?
Is that right?
I don't know.
So within 5 for Zion would be right pushing that.
MJ came in the league in what, like 85, 6,
MJ
7?
was a freshman in 82 when he hit the shot, so 3, 4, so 85.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so then, 92 would have been his first championship?
91.
91, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So 6 years?
Matt, would conference alignment be driven purely by football, or should the SEC scoop up UNC or Duke?
So one thing to consider with the SEC is they have put an emphasis on maintaining their contiguous alignment, meaning like all the states of the SEC border each other, right? So I will tell you, I think we talked about this maybe last week too. The schools that they were interested in last go round were North Carolina and Virginia Tech. The problems they had were North Carolina and Duke were attached, Virginia Tech and Virginia were attached, and you're not taking all 4 of them. So if you could split them, those would be next. It would be Virginia Tech and North Carolina.
Gulf South says, if we stop playing directional school U in the fall, what weekends will people get married then? That's a good point. I mean, how are you gonna schedule a wedding that's not gonna piss people off if you don't have like a LSU Alcorn game?
Year 7, Jordan won his first title.
DJ Stocky says, does Boise State finally get left in the dust?
I think Boise State has a chance of joining the Pac-12 if they agree to taking a lesser share. So if they have unequal shares, I think that's the only way the Pac-12 survives. If they have more defections, they'll add schools that take a lesser share. The Big 12 did that. That's how they kept Texas and OU 10 years ago. That's the only way they go to the Pac-12.
Jason Austin says, why wouldn't Notre Dame come to the SEC?
So number one, Notre Dame's contract with the ACC, because all of their sports play in the ACC. They play hockey in the Big Ten because the ACC doesn't have hockey. They play hockey in the Big Ten. All of their other sports are in the ACC. Notre Dame is I can't believe nobody talks about this. Notre Dame is contractually obligated.
No, you're the only one that went to Notre Dame.
If they join I didn't get in. If they join a conference, they are contractually obligated to join the ACC. People keep talking about them joining the Big Ten. Like, motherfuckers, they are contractually obligated. If they join a conference, they join the ACC. They did it during the COVID year. What league did they play in?
Yeah.
The ACC, motherfuckers.
I know, but the ACC just feels dead in the water. The ACC feels like a giant Mexican standoff where, like, nobody can leave. But also the ACC is in a weird spot where if they were to try to add a team, then all bets are off, right? Like, if they add a team, it triggers clauses where then everybody's like, fuck it, I'm out. So, like, the ACC is literally just like,
team you add is Notre Dame?
Nobody fucking move. Nobody fucking move.
But what if the team you add is Notre Dame?
Then I think some of those other schools will probably be like, I'm fucking out.
No, then nobody's leaving. Are you kidding me?
Why?
Because you're adding that brand value. That's like adding Texas to your league. You're not leaving.
Yeah, but is that going to increase the cut of the pie as much to keep pace with the SEC and the Big Ten?
Maybe not to keep pace with the SEC and the Big Ten.
Well, isn't that the whole point, though, is trying to keep pace? Like, you want those larger conference payouts.
Maybe, but I think you'd have to look at it in context of back to the point you made about Miami. Where do you go? Like, Miami is not interesting to the SEC. I just told you.
No, so let's say
Like,
UNC. Let's
if
just keep,
North
stay
Carolina,
with the UNC
if
example.
North Carolina
Notre Dame
wanted to
joins,
jump,
you don't think UNC would want to jump to the SEC?
that would be interesting because I think they'd probably have an opportunity. But again, I don't think North Carolina and Duke are separating. Like they went down this road 10 years ago.
And you don't think the SEC would take Duke for the
Hell no.
double
Fuck
up
no.
on the
Fuck
TV?
no.
Double up on the TV.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Fuck no. There is no way Duke is in the SEC. Fuck no.
The basketball brand isn't strong enough?
No. Basketball doesn't drive the revenue. Football drives the revenue. Basketball is not driving the revenue. Like, that's what people say. What about Kansas basketball? It doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all.
What position group? Hootie says, what position group are you most excited / curious to see when they finally take the field?
LSU?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Well, quarterback. I mean, that's obvious, right?
Let's frame it as like what position group do you think will be most badass maybe? Because intrigue, if you don't have a settled quarterback, it's always going to be quarterback, right? Because you're like, what the fuck's going to happen there? Most important position on the field. I would say, dude, for me with the D-line, it's kind of put up or shut up time, right? We know they got a shit ton of elite talent. We talked to Jacoby Guillory the other day, and he's looking fucking jacked right now. You got Jacob Roy, you got Mason Smith, you got Ali Gay, you got B.J. Ojolari. You got a whole bevy of recruits that you just got here recently. Like, yeah, man, I want to see this D-line, and I know it's never going to be like it was with Glenn Dorsey. It was a different football, but, like, I want to see a D-line that people fucking fear again.
So the question was, what are you most interested? Is that right?
Yeah, but yeah.
So I'll say
or most excited / curious to see. Curious would be quarterback.
So this is excited and curious are different. Curious would be cornerback.
Oh, okay, I could drive with that.
Because you lost your top two corners, your top three corners, if you include Stingley, Ricks, McLaughlin, and you added a bunch of dudes that have played, but I don't know if any of them are as good as any of the guys you lost. So I want to see if Mekhi Garner can be an SEC corner. I want to see if
Bernard Converse got to be the most interesting one, right?
Sure.
All Big 12.
But then you add Seven Banks as well from Ohio State.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you've added guys there that presumably should be able to play at a high level, but how good can they be? And in this current state of college football, when you draw Tennessee this year and they throw it a fuck ton. You're going to play Bryce Young, who threw for fucking 5,000 yards last year. You look at what you're facing in the league and what college football has become. I need cornerbacks that can cover, and I need to see if these guys can do it against everybody's elite in the league.
And what helps pass coverage? Pass rush. Symbiotic relationship. Pass coverage also helps pass rush. It's one of the great – it's like when you see one of those little birds that eats like the shit off the hippo teeth. You know what I'm talking about?
Could you just get to the rest of the question?
And they're like sitting here. It's like if I was a little bird, I would just be in here and I'd just be pecking away your little face. You have little bugs on there, and I'd just be pecking away. Open your mouth. Let me get that little grime off there. Like, and then I go puke it in my baby bird's mouth.
I don't think it's off the teeth.
Back of the nest.
By the way. The fucking thing that you're talking about,
alligators.
Hippo, it's off its back because the hippo can't get to its back.
Alligators get their teeth cleaned by birds. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. But
they sit there and just open their mouth.
But the symbiotic relationship is the fucking thing on the back.
Yeah, but right? so it's like a fucking alligator opening his mouth like, ha. Well, that's crazy. Can you imagine stepping up in an alligator's grill and being like, I'm going to clean it, and the alligator's like, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to bite you. Clean my teeth, bitch. And then I'm going to go puke it in my little baby's mouth when I get home. What team? Preston Salazi. What team from the ACC do you see becoming a rival with LSU? I guess if a team were to join.
Next.
UNC. Matt thinks it's the only one that's going to join.
No,
Miami.
I didn't say that.
Miami.
Miami is not joining the SEC.
Miami. Fuck. Just wait, boys. Why did the Big Ten take both UCLA and USC since they're in the exact same market, but UCLA is shit in football?
UCLA has a tremendous brand, and you get the whole Los Angeles market with those two.
And you're saying that to stay consistent with your argument that the Los Angeles market is large enough where it justifies a double dip.
Absolutely.
Versus Duke UNC. I think that's it for questions. Boo Daddy's obviously a Minions fan. He says #banana.
What does that mean?
A new movie. Have you ever seen Despicable Me? Came out 10 years ago. Grew. He's got these little minions. He's an evil guy. And then now the minions, kids fell in love with him. Now they
Little
got
yellow
their own
things.
movies. Yes.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen like a commercial.
I saw it. It's shit. But
Okay.
it just said the 4th of July box office record
You make a compelling argument
because
to
of
go see
a Gen Z. I don't want you to see it.
Okay.
But there's a crazy Gen Z TikTok trend where young teen boys are dressing up as gentle minions and going to the movie in full suits and ties. And I saw this when I went, and then standing up and giving standing ovations to a movie that was not that good.
By the way, can I make one more point before we leave?
Yeah.
Fuck Joey Chestnut.
Like, what?
Joey Chestnut, you saw he choked that dude on the stage?
Yeah.
Today he apologized.
Oh, so?
Motherfucker, you broke the law. You ran up on stage. You
Yeah.
bumped me while I got 15 hot dogs in my fucking mouth. Like you're a little bitch with a sign. You're 21 years old. There's consequences to your action. Fuck you in your neck. You're lucky it wasn't me on stage because I'd have pummeled that bitch into the fucking ground. I'd have thrown him off.
Then you wouldn't have won the hot dog
I would have.
contest,
I don't
so.
fucking care. I'd have thrown him off the fucking stage and hoping 1,000 people on the goddamn ground trampled it.
Nah, all I know is he did that. He looked like he snapped his fucking neck. That shit was